It did. It happened again last night. Actually, close to this morning, I saw it. You want Mexican? All right. You want Mexican food? That's what I saw. You always do this thing. You do this nano attack thing. Every time I get that transmission from your little health conglomerate, it always does something around food. Remember when we were in Africa and they did fire Cheetos? I remember because in the Cheetos, the bag of Cheetos inside of the bag is Mylar. And so the very first time while I was sleeping on the street, it was actually not even on the street, I was sleeping in a park. They had a baseball field. I was sleeping in the bleachers at the baseball field. And the first transmission, which wanted to talk about Puerto Rico. I wanted to talk about that school at Puerto Rico. Not the one with the students that were protesting. The other school they had that was supposed to be about intelligence. Remember when they had the intelligence recruiting center in San Juan? And there was big concern after the Hurricane Maria that what it really happened is that they had evacuated a lot of what had been happening with the so called intelligence recruitment in Puerto Rico. And what I understood this meant was exactly what my fear was, which was that President Trump, as they call him, as soon as he got in, within his first 100 days, one of the first things he did is he got a bunch of people in private equity on his National Security Council. And, over time, the digital records, every once in a while they might give you a fake digital record. But I had the hard copy at the time. It was in the newspaper. It was part of the evidence that was stolen after I was kidnapped. And it discussed how there were three capital firms that had been specifically selected. And that there was an individual from each of those three capital firms that was going to be on his National Security Council. And they were going to be his special advisors. And my understanding was, as soon as I read it, I got the immediate transmission. And what he was going to do is he was going to get these people in private capital to be on his National Security Council in order to get an insider look at what kind of data he could get. So that when they went through with the process of pressuring the government or leaning on the government or bankrupting the government, which was already in the works for years, then he would have first dibs and they would have first dibs, right? They would have first access to whatever would be available for splicing up and parsing out to whoever had the contracts. So really what these guys were is it's kind of like it's like a rummage sale. It's like an estate sale. Like someone has to prepare an estate for auction after somebody dies. And that's what these guys were. I saw it clear as day when I'm reading the article. There were three capital firms, and that's so ironically, one of those capital firms has the same name as a major brand maker of electronic cigarettes, including the kind of electronic cigarettes you can use for hemp oil or CBD oil, right? And they like to use specific product lines within that brand connected to technology that's actually associated with the United States military, right? Except for the dead rabbits thing. I kind of take that personally because that's actually part of some disgusting satanic rite you guys did. Did I digress? Am I talking about some? Oh, yeah, Puerto Rico. Because what happens is they send these digital transmissions and they're coding something, but they're also communicating something. You can hear them. And they were talking about the Black Caucus and the Black Caucus's concern that there was a specific kind of information in Puerto Rico that they wanted after the hurricane. And they found it. But, there were complications. And at some point, there was some sort of engagement in a conversation. And then the next thing you know, I'm in Africa. And I'm looking in a bag of Cheetos. I'm out on the street. And I got a bag of Cheetos, fire Cheetos. And I'm looking in the bag. And I remember because the bag was Mylar. Now, this morning, you wanted Mexican food. It's one of those higher end. It might even be Tex-Mex. A nice big platter. I think it was what, enchiladas maybe? And there's somebody working there, and I'm supposed to go apply for a job as a server. I saw it. You guys do this all the time. See, you can tell. I mean, I told you it's getting weaker. But what happened was a very clear broadcast on that bandwidth. And you did that thing where you had that Google program, the heartbeat. And somewhere in a file that you won't let me access, especially now that you've stolen my operating software, there's some sort of Google heartbeat update or change or pulse. And that's how you terminate. That's how you terminate whatever it is that you're putting into something connected to my heart chakra or some sort of fucking health record you got somewhere that, taken my pulse or taken my, done my heart rate. That's what you do. And I know that. That's what you've been doing for years. Is this a proprietary secret? Is this someone's like patented or copyrighted like bedside manner? Is it part of all of the specs that go into the data you use for weapons associated with companies that should have already been shut down for their war crimes? Why do you have spies, actual fucking spies in the United States continuing to harbor these people and harvest me? And now it's that disgusting and precise. I'm not going to have sex with these people you put before me. You want on some level for me to concede there's something legitimate about it. There's not. And I know who you were trying to get to. I know what diamond you were trying to get to in the last couple of days, and you didn't get it, right? Because I don't do that sort of thing. But what's also been revealed is the warning of what got that guy killed. Remember? After the other things, I was on the train, and there were 3 young women, lesbians, and they were drinking booze, and they were cavorting, and they were making out with each other on the train. And whatever current you had me on said, you need to not do that. Don't act that way. Because whoever that guy was, where he came from, when people act like jackasses like that, they get killed. It wasn't about whether they were gay. It wasn't about their ethnicity. It's about the fact that they're drinking alcohol on a train and making out with each other and saying profanity. And some people get offended by that. Did you get offended by the fact that your portrayal of black people is not the same as mine? So you killed people in order to what? Is that the credit Kanye West thought he was going to run for president on? You need to get your little hip hop thing that you set up when you let your daughter steal my fucking life. While, by the way, I think she was still a minor. Because I don't do that kind of California.